welcome to 1991 Movie Rewind, a podcast where we watch and review every movie released in 1991, from the all-time greatest classics to the critically panned and everything in between. We will rediscover forgotten fan favorites and uncover hidden gems as we explore the depths of direct-to-video. Join us in our celebration of the fun, unique, and diverse films of this highly underrated year. This week, we watched Marilyn and Me.
Nikki.
And this is Jon, and thank you for joining us on 1991 Movie Rewind. In Marilyn and Me, Robert Slatzer, played by Jesse Dabson, is an inspiring Hollywood writer when he meets the aspiring actress Norma Jean Baker, played by Susan Griffiths. Slatzer narrates his on-again, off-again relationship with Norma Jean, including a 5-day marriage, and the difficulties in being with the woman known to most as Marilyn Monroe. Screenplay by Robert Boris, directed by John Patterson, and premiered on ABC on September 22nd, 1991. This is another one where I'm going to assume that you haven't seen it before, but have you heard of this movie before?
No, I've not seen it or heard about it.
No, me either. And what's really weird about this, just, going through where it's available digitally, there's no VHS or DVD copy available. But yet it's available on several different streaming services with really good transfers. The version that we watched, or that I watched, and we watched it separately.
I watched it on Amazon.
Oh, I watched it through Tubi.
Oh, okay.
For free. And very good video quality. Much better than, what we've seen with some of the other
better
ones.
than, like, the Lucy and Desi.
Yeah. I mean, that was...
But that was a TV movie. Was that ABC? I forgot.
It was a TV movie, but the version that we had to watch was someone who had recorded a Lifetime Movie
YouTube.
Network re-airing of it and then posted it online. But I mean, to go into sort of like Lucy and Desi, or even like The Summer My Father Grew Up, this I feel like has better production value overall. It's probably one of the best looking TV movies, just from set design, costume design, all that kind of stuff, that type of standpoint that we've seen so far, aside from, I'd say, Cast a Deadly Spell, which had HBO budget behind it.
Mm-hmm.
This is ABC budget, where they're pumping money into dozens of movies each year, so it's kind of surprising to see such high quality in that.
I mean, I wonder if they did not release it on DVD. I don't know. I'm just wondering, maybe because of this guy, Robert Slatzer.
It may be, because of the controversy of the story, but I mean, Marilyn Monroe stuff has dozens
released
and dozens
everywhere.
Of movies
They
about
probably
her.
don't want this to be out there. I don't know who's, responsible for her.
But now they're putting on basically every streaming platform that they can get their hands on. So it's just odd that there is no home video release that I could find proof of. But now it's available in multiple places digitally.
I wonder if they're just releasing this because of all the recent, the Netflix documentary and then the movie that's coming up again. I mean, it seems
that's one of the reasons why we watched it, right?
Yeah.
So it could be that that's part of it. But it is readily available, at least, and it looks nice. You don't have to worry about going on YouTube for a VHS taped off a TV.
Taped off copy
With, missing scenes or bad tracking. It's an interesting story on the surface level, just because Robert Slatzer was a real person, obviously. This is meant to be an autobiographical account of his time with Norma Jean. I don't really know a lot about Marilyn Monroe at all. Like her history, her
her upbringing,
off-screen persona, her whatever. So all I can really say is Susan Griffiths, the person who played her in this movie, looks a lot like Marilyn Monroe, but in terms of her performance, I don't know how accurate it is. I don't know, did she put on that breathy voice
Oh,
like,
you mean Marilyn in real life?
Yeah, like in real life, was she
like very Betty Boop-ish?
Exactly. Yeah, so like Susan is basically portraying Marilyn Monroe as we know her from the movie characters, like the femme fatale type of, sex bomb character that she portrays in the movies. And she's carrying over that breathiness, that, overt, like, baby voice, almost like Betty Boop, like you're saying, into the daily interactions of Norma / Marilyn. I don't know how accurate that is. It seemed like it was a caricature.
Oh, see, I haven't seen, the documentaries. I just seen the movies she's in.
Yeah, I don't know how much. And
she always plays, that type of, sex pot.
Yeah. And it's tough for me to know because
mostly. I mean,
I don't know if those documentaries would have a lot of behind the scenes stuff where she
like showing her
uses
off.
her possible real voice if she has one that isn't this. Like, is it a Gilbert Gottfried type of a thing where she's just like putting on
like
this
a
thing
Paris Hilton thing?
Right.
Paris Hilton does the baby voice.
Yeah, is it like a Paris Hilton thing? Is it like a Gilbert Gottfried thing where like he actually has a real voice that he just never used after he was off of SNL?
Yeah.
Or like what was rumored to be like Michael Jackson's thing where his on-screen high-pitched child voice was not real. It was put on the entire time. Like, I don't know if that's
like
the same
she's
type of
done
thing.
It so long that it just becomes. I mean, I also compare.
Or is it just because we only know her from the movies and there's no like interviews or behind the scenes like footage to draw from to know otherwise?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's tough to get a real good grasp as to how accurate the portrayal is of.
I think she did. Well, I'm just looking her up, Susan Griffiths. She's been known to be the Marilyn Monroe lookalike in other movies.
Basically, all of her other roles are as Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah,
like
so she's like the go-to.
Run down the list if you want to. Like she's American Snitch, which was like in 1983. I've never heard of that. Growing Pains, Quantum Leap, Pulp Fiction, Dark Skies, Sybil, the Sybil Shepherd TV show, Time Cop, the TV show, The Strip, Curb Your Enthusiasm, the Elton John video, all played Marilyn Monroe. And that's basically all of her credits. She has not done any non-Marilyn stuff for the most part. I think there's like a couple other things. So she's known for this and she's made a whole career out of it. But again, I mean, most people who want a Marilyn Monroe impersonation want what they've seen in those movie roles. Yeah. So when you're talking about her living her life off camera, I don't know. I don't know if it's accurate or not. But this whole story may not be accurate, right? Like that's the whole thing. Like so Robert Slatzer most likely was in her life to a large degree. Most likely did date her off and on. I have no idea for sure. You're shaking your head as if that's probably not true.
Okay, well...
but the marriage is very much in question, I think. Completely debunked.
Yes. I mean, I might as well... This is going to be my true crime, but I might as well just, like, get into it and I'd skip true crime because I feel like this whole movie is the true crime.
Yeah, they don't really get into her death aside from, like, the very beginning.
Yeah, in the beginning, where he gets
Bob
a call.
Gets a call from Walter Winchell in the middle of the night to inform her of her death. He tries to go claim the body, but they don't have her on record as being married to him because it was done in Mexico and they burned the marriage certificate, and so no one believes him. And so it's like him telling his story from when they met to pretty much when they stopped being like she stopped when talking she married DiMaggio or shortly after that. So it's a good, like, they met in, like, the 7 years. Yeah, the mid-40s, and then, till, like, 1953. Around there, yeah. 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 Because then she just fully steps out of his life, and then it shows the last part as him going to her funeral. But... Alright, so I looked up like a couple articles on him and then I listened to 2 podcasts. Like one of them I've heard before. It's like
You Must Remember This. That's like one of my favorite podcasts. She, like, Karina Longworth, she did a season. This was maybe like 5 years ago. It was called Dead Blondes. And then she had 3 episodes all about Marilyn Monroe. But she doesn't really talk about Slatzer, really. Like, at all.
Yeah,
so,
it's like a hidden relationship or something.
Yeah. But there's a new-ish podcast called Marilyn Beyond the Icon, and it's like these 3 journalists who are, quote, Marilyn Monroe experts or something. It's like 3 people who are talking and like debunking certain things. And each episode is like 20 minutes long, and I only listen to the episodes where they talk about Robert Slatzer. And, you know, he wrote 2 books about Marilyn Monroe, but they said that both of those books had conflicting information. Like, the day that he said that he got married to her when they went to Mexico, she was actually out shopping. Like, she was seen by someone out shopping for clothes, like in Beverly Hills or something.
Yeah, IMDb says that there's like a canceled check that proves that it didn't happen.
Yeah, she went shopping.
Yeah.
And then, even when they show in the movie, you know, how he got contacted about her death, one of the books said that he was in Ohio, and then I guess the other book said that he actually went to her funeral. So it's these people were just like making fun of Robert Slatzer, just saying, you know, if you're gonna lie, like, stick with the lie.
Well, I mean, those aren't conflicting things. Like, learning about the death in Ohio doesn't mean that he couldn't have flown out to LA.
I think it wasn't.
The movie basically shows too.
Yeah, I think it was.
But he probably said something different in both of the books. Like
saying that he was still in Ohio or
something
while she was being buried.
I see. Yeah.
And then in the second one, saying that he actually went to her funeral.
Gotcha.
There was a couple other things, and then the reason. So there was 2 articles. One of them that I read about him. He has a picture of him kind of like cuddling up next to Marilyn Monroe. That's like the only photo he has of him and her. That's the only proof that he has. And these 3 people on that podcast just said that he was just like merely a stalker. Like, he was just a super fan. And I guess they were sort of acquainted, because even in the movie, you know, when she's starting to become famous, and, you know, she has people sending her, like, you know, letters and stuff like that. He was one of them. And then when she was filming that Niagara movie, which we saw in this movie, he was one of the fans that came up to her and was like, "Can I get a picture with you and an autograph?" and all this stuff. And I guess they just said that they were just acquaintances, where he would be, because he would talk to Marilyn, because, you know, she wanted to talk to her fans.
Sure.
And according to this, because Slatzer died in 2005.
Yeah.
And according to these people, and I guess according to, I didn't read his books. I'm not going to read them because I really don't care about this guy. But I guess according to these, like, 2 books that he wrote, it's just that he would always give Marilyn Monroe, like, certain books to read.
Okay.
And that's kind of like how they, quote, knew each other. But I think it was mostly on his end, like,
she
writing
didn't, like,
to her.
Reciprocate too much.
Yeah, she didn't reciprocate.
Okay.
So, and then, you know, even Joe DiMaggio, they interviewed him or talked to him, not on this podcast, but they just said that he doesn't even know who this guy is, even though when they show in that in this movie that she, like, double books dates between him, Robert, and Joe DiMaggio.
Yeah, like, I guess the movie sort of fooled me in a sense that I assumed that they would have had some relationship, because he's involved in so many different aspects of her life. He's like interwoven and introduced to different people, like agents and all this kind of stuff. And I would have assumed that would have been at least partially real, that she, that he might have gone to some of those parties with her or being introduced to the agents or whatever, and that there would have been enough in Hollywood corroboration of that story that at least part of it was true, and they probably dated but they never got married type of a thing.
It seems
but
as
it
if
sounds like that's completely...
They never... Yeah, that she... Because I think even when she... Something happened where, like, 5 years... So, like in the late 50s, like 1958, he made, like, a big commotion about how they were married. And then Marilyn was like, I don't even know him.
Oh, so he tried to claim that they were married while she was still alive.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And then he made, like, a big... And then it's like he just... And then in the 70s, he made even a bigger thing about it. Because I think he was trying to... He was one of the people that became one of the biggest proponents of, like, the Kennedy murder theory into Marilyn's death.
Right.
And so it became, like it became buried, and then he, like, opened up this stupid rumor again, like, in the 70s.
Yeah, for those that don't know, there's a rumor that she might have been murdered by somebody because of her affair with John F. Kennedy.
Yes.
So... Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I could understand that there would be people who would want to hide their relationship potentially at different times, like how he sort of explains it in the movie. Like, the studio wants to squash their marriage because she's more marketable as an available woman, right? So there's things like that make sense within the context of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, he's like he's a writer, so it's like a lot of this stuff you can be like, yeah, I kind of believe this, but it's like none of this is real.
Yeah, he's sort of like he's like Forrest Gumping himself into this whole story.
This is like his fanfic of him and Marilyn,
because they show him right when she's, like, trying to get one of her first auditions. They show him in the studio with Tom Kelly when she's doing that calendar that made her famous as well. That he's in the room when she dyes her hair and basically becomes Marilyn Monroe without the name.
See, by that point...
He's everywhere at these key moments.
Yeah, but by that point, she was already a blonde. So he couldn't have been there.
But...
Yeah, he's saying that he was there. As
Norma Jean?
Yeah.
When she first came to Hollywood, she was already a blonde?
No, she dyed her hair blonde before... Like, in the movie, she dyed her hair, like, way before... Wait, whatever he said.
Okay.
So he wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, that could...
I mean, he wasn't there at all.
I mean, obviously, like, any biopic is going to have artistic license. Like, let's say the Andy Kaufman Man on the Moon... movie with Jim Carrey. There's a lot of stuff in there that didn't happen in the sequence that it happened, right? But I don't know. He's basically saying, like, if she came to Hollywood not a blonde, then he was there. You know what I mean? So regardless of whether or not...
He's, like, claiming that he was there during all of her pivotal moments.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, like Forrest Gumping the whole thing.
Yeah.
He's just inserting himself... into her history.
That's why, like, this is his fanfic, and then, like, someone just made a movie on it and, like, made it. I mean,
he was heavily involved in the movie in terms of being listed as a consultant. He's also in the credits. He plays studio manager. I don't know who that is in the movie. I don't think I'm going to be able to show a screenshot of it because I don't really know what Slatzer looks like that much, especially in the 1990s.
Yeah, I don't know what he looks like.
And I don't know what studio manager references. Like, so he is there as a cameo, and he was consulting this entire time. Obviously, he probably had his book, like, sort of commissioned to do the story and the teleplay screenplay by Robert Boris. So, I mean, honestly, part of this could have been just to try to boost his marketability as a writer somehow as well, and, like, give him more prestige and notice so that he'd get more projects off the ground. He only had, like, a couple. In the movie, they even make it sound like he's a very, regularly working Hollywood figure. And maybe he was, but he didn't have like the screen credits behind it. He might have been ghostwriting a bunch of projects. Or, doing rewrites, because that is very common as well. But he wrote and directed the Hellcats and Bigfoot. And that's about it. So, he didn't have a whole long career in Hollywood, sort of like what he shows here. It's tough to say how much of it is true, if any. But yeah, from what you're saying, it sounds like very, very little. The movie, though, I feel like they're forced to glance over a lot of stuff, right? Because it covers 6 years of events.
Yeah.
They meet in November 1946, where he's immediately enthralled by her when she gets hit by a door and falls, and like her cleavage is like on full display, and he gives like this goofy smile, and he makes it sound like, the movie makes it sound like she is extremely aggressive with him. Like, asking him out, kissing him right away, stripping on the beach on the first date after, like, leaving dinner early.
Yeah.
And, like, doing the skinny dipping in the water. And continuing that aggressive behavior of, she's like leading the charge and, like, super obsessed with him.
Yeah, it made it think as if she's, like, love bombing him. And then, like, she's, like, sort of stringing him along.
Well, yeah, it doesn't really paint her in a very positive light, to be honest. He's not painted in a positive light either. She's basically, I don't know, using him when there's nothing else available.
Yeah, it's like when she's not with someone, she just falls back to him.
Yes.
And it's like making her sound as if she's like a codependent person.
Yeah, like she needs to have somebody at all times.
Like a guy to pay attention to her at all times.
Yeah.
And she like gets off on that. I don't know if that's like super true or anything.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't really know much about her personality and how accurate this is either. But yeah, they definitely make it seem like she's extremely manipulative.
Yeah.
At one point, even abusive towards him, because she throws something and it like hurts his neck or something, and like he's bleeding and they have to bandage it up.
Yeah. But
but it also shows her to
be... It makes it sound as if she... I mean, from what I don't know, from just the podcasts I listen to, it's just... I mean, people say that she had like a drinking... They show her drinking like double fisting sometimes.
Yeah, they call her... he calls her the best drinking buddy he ever had a couple times.
Like, and then like taking pills, and from what I know is that she had endometriosis, and so like, I mean, at that time in the 50s, she was taking pain. She was taking pain pills.
Yeah.
So she was just taking things to like, ease whatever her pain during that time. But I mean, I'm not like an expert on her either. It's just like whatever I've heard.
But the movie paints her as superficial as all hell.
Yeah, that's why I was like this.
Everything is great in her life as long as she's being applauded.
Yeah, like she needs attention at all times. That's what this guy is like portraying. And
that everything is worth the adulation as long as she gets the adulation.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if she's being like, mistreated on set or whatever. It doesn't matter if, her mother doesn't like her or whatever it is. As long as she gets the applause at the end of the scene, then that's when she's the most happy.
Yeah, that's what he's portraying about her.
Meanwhile, his portrayal of himself in this is some petulant child.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like a victim and a petulant child who's like whiny and I don't know. He isn't like
whining. He has this love-hate relationship with her. He's like and
himself, I guess. Yeah.
Because even when like near the end where she's on the set of Niagara and she calls him, she's like, I need you because this is like one of her biggest roles at that point.
Right. I need you on set. Come to me.
Like she's got some anxiety, and he's like, he tells his boss, because he's about to write for some other Western or something.
And this is supposedly while she's already married to Joe DiMaggio.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry.
I think she was dating.
They're just dating at this point.
Yeah, because she doesn't...
Dating Joe DiMaggio actively at this time.
Yeah.
And
because she gets married...
Calls Bobby instead.
Yeah, because that's when they decide to get married. And this is even before the Joe DiMaggio. Well, yeah. I mean, they're dating.
Right.
Marilyn and Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, she calls him up and she's like all got anxiety about it. She's like, I need someone to calm me down, and that person is you.
Yeah, I didn't call Joe, I called you. That's the explanation we're given in the movie.
And, so he's on some set for some movie that he wrote, like a Western, I think.
Yeah, they talk about Westerns.
And
I guess that'd be the Hellcats. I don't really know for sure, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure
because I didn't
either.
look that up at all. But Hellcats sounds more like a biker movie than a Western.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I didn't look it up. Sorry if anyone's
like
knowing the answer.
Yeah.
Mad that
I don't know. If anyone research. Like, there's probably people who know way more about this than we do.
Oh, possibly, yeah.
And then, yeah, he tells his boss or like the director or whoever, like the producer, like, I'm gonna go help Marilyn because she needs my help. And he's like, well, what's more important, like your job or her? And he doesn't even answer. They just show him leaving to go to her.
Yeah.
And then he's just saying, like, it's the best and worst time of my life. Like, the best time, but also the worst time of my life whenever I'm with her.
Yeah. I don't know. He's just not shown in a positive light either. It's just so weird. Like, let's say earlier than that, too, when they are dating and there's no other guy in the picture that we're aware of. This is before, I think, she gets involved with the agent, or maybe after that guy passes. I don't remember. But, you know, like, she gets her big contract with Fox, and then there's that whole scene about the morality clause being in the contract and that she has to move out of the place that they're living in together.
Oh, did Johnny hide her?
No. So, like, Bobby and Marilyn are living together, and she has to move out because of the morality clause in the contract, saying that she can't be living with a guy because they're not married.
Yeah.
Right? And so, like, that all happens, and at no point is Marilyn showing that they're trying to, like, break up. They're not saying that she's going to break up with him, just that she has to move out of the place in order to honor the contract. And he's just being a total asshole. And, you know, again, like a little baby child that's basically treating it like a breakup, and then basically ignores her for a while, and she's out of his life because she had to move out.
Yeah, but
you know,
isn't
like,
that
it's
when
just
she
stupid behavior. Like
isn't that when she also had to go, she went and lived with her talent agent, Johnny Hyde?
That's later, a little bit later. And that's, I don't know, there's just so many weird things about this, because they just glance over stuff, like I said before. So, like, when she signs the contract with Fox or whatever, Bobby's working at an auto shop because he makes this big deal about, oh, I'll do all the grunt work so I can make a living while you do your auditions or whatever to be an actress. And so it shows him, like, slaving over dishwasher and waiter duties. And he's working in this auto shop, and he gets this call. And she's like, oh, Bobby, I got the contract with Fox. Great, let's celebrate. He hangs up the phone. I can't believe she did it. End scene. It's like 3 sentences long. And then next scene is they're breaking up, I guess, over this stuff. And the same type of thing when she meets that guy, the agent, which happens later on. The agent comes into the diner where they're having dinner together. They were, I forget what happened, like he was out of town or something for a while, and he had come back because it was like his first night back in LA. Mm-hmm. Right? And so, like, they're having dinner at this restaurant, and then the agent comes over and is like, oh, I'm so glad I got to see you, Marilyn. There's this party tonight. Do you want to go?
Yeah.
And Bobby's like, no, not me. I just got in. I'm super tired. You go ahead and you go if you want to. And then they both leave right then. Marilyn and the agent leave right then when it's like clearly daylight outside on the screens. Like, okay, like why? Just so stupid. Like, how soon before this party did you come to find Marilyn Monroe, Norma Jean in this restaurant? It's like these weird little. I hate conveniences of plot like that.
Oh, okay.
And this movie has a lot of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like that guy's supposed to be super nice. What's his name? Hyde.
Johnny Hyde.
Johnny Hyde, played by Joel Grey, Oscar and Golden Globe winner for Cabaret. Emmy nominated for Brooklyn Bridge, the 1991 show. Brooklyn Bridge. He's also a Grammy nominee for Anything Goes. And he'll be in the movie Kafka. So great actor Joel Grey plays this agent who is supposedly like the nicest one of them all, and they make a big deal about how Marilyn has to leave Bobby so she can live with Johnny Hyde in his last few months or whatever of life, and be with him and have a relationship with Johnny Hyde instead of Bobby.
Yes.
Weird.
I mean, she has this relationship with him. This also kind of like reminds me of like Anna Nicole Smith. I know how Anna Nicole Smith kind of wanted to be like Marilyn Monroe.
Sure.
Like, this is kind of, from what I've heard in these podcasts, like Marilyn Monroe lived with him. She loved him, quote, but not like in love. She loved him as if he was like a father to her.
Sure.
But it was more of like this sugar baby type relationship.
Yeah, which is sort of how Marilyn explains it in a sense. Not so much about the financial relationship, but it's more like, oh, he's been so nice to me. I think I have to go live with him and sleep with him
because
to show him how nice he's been to me.
Yeah.
That's how Marilyn's portrayed in this.
Yes. And then he's like, why don't you marry me? Because then you get all of my money. Because, his ex-wife won't.
Or at least,
or his children.
She'll be in the will.
She'll be in the will and get some
like
sort of money.
Entitlement to whatever.
Yeah. But she's like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't want to get married.
Yeah, and then when he does die, like, there's a point where she can't even go to his funeral, and then I guess his ex-wife and son, well, the ex-wife is like, I want her out of the house, like, today, change the locks, and kick her out.
Which sends her back to Bobby again.
Yeah.
By the way, that person is listed third on the credits.
Right? That woman, ex-wife?
Credited as woman at Hyde's funeral. Third place in the credits is Terry Moore, and I think I know the reason why. Alright, so she's an Oscar-nominated actress for Best Supporting Actress for Comeback Little Sheba. She's been in Mighty Joe Young, both the original and the 1990s remake, and then also Peyton Place, amongst a bunch of other stuff. I think she's in there because she also claims to have been married to a very famous person in secret. She was supposedly married to Howard Hughes for a long time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And married in Mexico as well to him. That's also obviously very much in dispute, and she had also married people in the U.S. while she was supposedly married to Howard Hughes under the Mexico marriage certificate. So I think that Terry Moore probably shared some sort of kismet, like some sort of Hollywood stories with Robert Slatzer.
Yeah, and so he put her in this movie.
And gave her high billing. Also, I mean, the Oscar nomination helps her high billing, but for like one scene doesn't equate to third billing typically. So that was interesting to see that Terry Moore was probably trying to play somebody that she had also experienced, because the Howard Hughes estate do not recognize that ever happened, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they would keep it a secret. Very well-known, popular actress. Why wouldn't Howard Hughes claim that relationship in public? I don't know. Whatever. Bobby's in and out of this girl's life a bunch, and that's sort of how it goes. He's there when the mom comes to visit after she had been in an asylum, and I don't really know how all that works, but she was visiting. They went out to eat. It shows the mother being,
So
exhibiting behaviors that are, whatever.
Just ignoring her, and probably just showing how, like, this is why Marilyn Monroe is so needy, because her mom is, like...
Yeah, the mom doesn't want
her
to acknowledge anything that's happening. She's just kind of, like, staring and, like, cutting her ham endlessly.
That scene was so weird. They keep on, like, showing the mom, and then, like, the cut up ham, and then the mom, and then the ham, and the mom, and I was like, okay.
And then the mom is like, I want to go back to the asylum.
Yeah.
And then she runs away at the train station, which I guess is where they had their food? I don't know how that works. And yeah, she's gone. It was like a one scene with the mother, and I don't, yeah, it didn't make sense.
I think if you knew more about Marilyn Monroe's upbringing, you would just understand that.
Probably. Yeah, this movie maybe assumes a lot of knowledge of Marilyn's history. I don't know. There's a lot that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think the most interesting part of the movie is when Joe DiMaggio does show up and that he's, dating her. That's the only other relationship, well, aside from, I guess, Johnny Hyde, that they get into with Norma/Marilyn. They don't talk about Arthur Miller at all. They don't talk about, I forget the third guy that she was married to.
Oh, her Hollywood. First husband?
No, because she alludes to the first husband before she even got to Hollywood. There's 3 people that she married. It is Joe DiMaggio, Arthur Miller, and then some other third guy, which I forget the name of.
Well, her first husband, when she was a teen, she got married when she was like 15.
Right, but I thought there was 3 in the Hollywood days. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, I don't know much about it. I think it's just
Joe DiMaggio and Arthur Miller, but she's been like linked to so many different men.
Right.
That's why this guy is like, I'm one of them.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe I'm thinking of whatever. But they don't talk about Arthur Miller. They obviously don't talk about Kennedy. They don't talk about, a lot of other key moments in her life. It's basically like 1952 and then cut to her being dead.
Yeah. It's like... Yeah, it just shows... the time that they met until where she finally is like, hey, I'm gonna go marry Joe DiMaggio, and he's like, okay, well, you're not gonna see me anymore. And she's like, he's like, Robert Slatzer is like, once you close that door, that's it. This is the last time you're gonna see me. So she closes that door.
Yeah, which he says like 4 times in the movie. But, I mean, there's a scene where Joe and Bobby are both in the same place at the same time, right? Like, waiting for her to come back during the Niagara shoot, I think it is. And, they both go into the house, and Bobby goes to the bar, and he's just all nonchalant about everything because he's been there before, I guess. And, Joe was, like, huffing and puffing, like, who's this guy? What's going on? And, Bobby's here cool as a cucumber, and it's like, now you know what it's like, because I've done it. And so, yeah, it's whatever. Supposedly, she tries to come back to him after Joe and them break up, but before they get married, and Bobby says no, but then says yes, and then they get married for the 5 days, and then the studio says no, that can't happen. There's a couple of like culturally insensitive / racist aspects of the whole Mexico scenes. There's 2 scenes.
Yeah, the one scene where they go back to annul their marriage, I guess. Mm-hmm. It looks as if they got married in like some Mexican gift shop.
Yeah.
Because you see people in the background like playing with or like looking at puppets or something,
and
or
like ponchos and sombreros and stuff.
I was like, where did what?
And here's like this legal document that he just gets out and burns in front of them.
And he's like, okay, that's it. Your marriage doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
That whole scene, I was like, what?
Which, like,
that's like their version of Mexico or something. That's so dumb.
Well, what about the other part, which...
when they first go to get married?
No. The trigger warning part. Because at one point, she claims that Bobby got her pregnant.
Oh, yeah. And then they go to
Mexico for the racist abortion in the dirty kitchen in someone's house.
Oh, yeah.
and he's like there pulling out the tools in the middle of this sink full of dirty dishes. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you gotta wait outside. Here, we don't have medicine. Have some tequila.
Yeah, and then she comes out and she's like...
And that's when she like makes the one...
by tequila.
And also how she's like taking tranquilizers, and that's like the only time they allude to her pill taking. It's like,
right.
They really help me. They really help me. That's it. That's
right. And
so, yeah, it doesn't paint Mexico in a great light.
A great light, yeah.
So, and I don't understand why the certificate had to be burned, right? I mean, because there's ways to annul... When they annul a marriage in general...
You can do it legally.
Right. But I guess, the idea
I don't know I don't know how it was in the 50s, but can't you still do it?
But yeah.
Or legally, I should say.
I mean, yeah, supposedly this was legal, but to have it, like, I guess they wanted it wiped off the books altogether. But again,
like,
I think
it never happened.
The things that is mentioned by Slatzer outside of this movie is that Marilyn supposedly did have a copy of the certificate at her home that he saw after her death. But then it disappeared afterwards. Yeah. So it clearly wasn't... I don't know. Whatever. It's stupid. I don't think there's anything else to really mention about the plot of the movie in this, unless you can think of a scene that we're missing. But again, like, it looks really nice. It's directed really well. It's directed by John Patterson, who is a 2-time Emmy nominee for Sopranos. He's going to do the 1991 TV movie Sins of the Mother as well. He's a longtime TV director, did stuff like Cagney and Lacey, Dynasty, Hill Street Blues, Providence, Carnival. So, really good pedigree behind this, really good production values, but oof, the story.
Yeah, I mean, everyone, I mean, they even have, certain people in here that are well known.
It's a good cast.
And the cast, I mean, the acting is fine. I mean, the guy that played Slatzer, I was like, eh. But everyone else was fine.
He just looked like a big old goofball.
Yeah.
Yeah, Susan Griffiths, again, looked the part. I think, I understand why she has the career as a Monroe impersonator.
Yeah.
Jesse Dabson, if we're getting into cast and crew, he has not done a whole lot since then. He's done stuff like Deep Space, Death Wish 4, The Crackdown, a movie that I kind of want to see from 1990 called Alienator. It looks like a really cheesy sci-fi thing. He was on the Elvis TV show in the 90s, which I guess was a thing. I didn't realize that was a thing. Robert Boris, the writer, has done similar caliber stuff, but theatrical or direct-to-video. Some Kind of Hero. He's the man behind Dr. Detroit, Oxford Blues, Steel Justice, Steele, and then also Extreme Justice. We have a few different other people that I'm not going to mention too many of them because honestly they're going to be in a lot of other 1991 movies, but I do want to mention that we have people like Kurt Fuller in there, who you probably know from like Wayne's World and Ghostbusters 2. He plays the agent in one scene who basically is like, get rid of this guy. He's one of the guys that says, get rid of this guy. You got Sandy McPeak, who plays Daryl. Zanuck, the guy who says, you must annul this marriage or else she won't have a career anymore. He's going to be in the 1991 movie Born to Ride. He's known from Hill Street Blues, Days of Our Lives, L.A. Law, and also as a 2-episode stint as the Giggler in the 1966 Batman TV series. Mm. And then you have Patrick Thomas O'Brien as the casting director, who's talking about the clause, the morality clause, saying that she has to move out. I just immediately recognized him as Mr. Dewey from Saved by the Bell. I'm like, oh my god, it's the teacher from Saved by the Bell. Mm. And he's also plays Satan in UHF. So, otherwise, a lot of the people who are in this are going to be in a bunch of other 1991 stuff. So that's about it for cast and crew. There is one award nomination to mention for this. Because it is a TV movie, it is eligible for Emmys, which have a lot more categories. And so this was nominated for Best Hairstyling for a Miniseries or Special. So I guess this was considered to be a special and not a TV movie, which I think is a separate category aside from this, maybe? I don't remember. So yeah, Lindley White who did the hairstyling, was nominated, but she lost to a production called Miss Rose White. So, that's that. We've talked about true crime, but what about pop culture?
So nothing
else
major.
on TV?
Well, on TV, nothing. Well, I'm just saying nothing really major happened on this day. September 22nd, 1991 was a Sunday. And, yeah, nothing really major happened on this day.
Do you have the ratings for this one? How did
yes,
it compare?
I do I have the ratings.
The Nielsen's.
So this was up against two other TV movies that are going to be on our list. And on CBS, this was on at the same time as Marilyn and Me, called Runaway Father.
Okay. That's come up a couple times in my cast.
Yeah. Yeah, that has 16.8 million viewers.
Runaway Father did. I
don't want to look it up, but I mean, you know, it looks like a family drama.
Sure.
And then on NBC, their movie for Sunday night is Guilty Until Proven Innocent, and that had 11.8 million. And, you know, that's going to be, you know, another drama mystery.
Yeah, I think there's actually like 2 movies with this similar title, Guilty Until Proven Innocent, so yeah.
Compare the two.
Yeah.
And then, you know, this is on ABC. Marilyn and Me only had 8.5 million viewers compared to those other two.
So it lost the night big time.
Yeah.
I guess
I wonder if it's because of Robert Slatzer. Like, people are like, oh, this... Like, if people were just, you know...
Yeah, it could be. People, like, knew
that he was, you know, a liar.
I mean...
Or
it would
just
not be
over sensationalized his relationship with Marilyn, and, you know, like, his vocalist. I don't know how he was in the 70s, but it made it sound as if he was, like, trying really hard to, you know.
Yeah, it wouldn't be unreasonable to have people who were alive in the 70s and remembered the controversy and be like, oh, this guy, forget it.
Yeah.
And also have, like, newspaper articles or even magazine stuff up to the movie's premiere talking shit about Slatzer.
Maybe.
That might adversely affect this production, too. You know, I'm going to go out on a limb and probably say that this probably does still have better production values than the other two. We'll see. I bet it's probably going to be the best looking movie of the 3.
Yeah, looks wise and acting wise, it was good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know how the other 2 movies will be, like, if they're just going to be, like, cheesy dramas, like The Summer My Father Grew Up or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
But, so moving on to music. This is as of September 28th, 1991. I'm going to do the bottom 5 of the Billboard 100. At number 100 is the song Silver Thunderbird by the singer Mark Cohn. That's the Walking in Memphis guy.
Yeah, I was trying to think, like, have I heard Silver Thunderbird? I don't think I
have not heard the song until 5 minutes before we started recording.
Sounds like a failed cartoon.
Oh, Silver Thunderbird.
Yeah.
It's like it's on the same album as Walking. I mean, Walking in Memphis is the only song I know from this guy.
Sure.
So this was like his second hit, but it was only 8 weeks on the charts, and it peaked at number 63. Number 99 is Learning to Fly by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Okay.
That was 14 weeks on the charts, and it peaked at number 28. And number 98 is Right Here, Right Now by Jesus Jones. That was 25 weeks on the charts. That was like half the year.
Yeah.
And then it peaked at number 2.
Yeah.
Number 97 is Can You Stop the Rain by Peebo Bryson. And I feel like we've maybe talked... I know we've talked about Peebo.
Yeah, I don't know if we've got it. I'm assuming is that a cover of the Creedence song? Do you know?
No.
It's completely different?
Yeah. And that...
Oh, that's probably a different title, too, for Creedence, actually.
Yeah.
You said this is Can You Stop the Rain?
Yeah, Can You Stop the Rain?
Definitely not the Creedence song, then. I was thinking...
Have you ever seen The Rain?
Or Who Will Stop the Rain?
Or okay, who will... that one.
Yeah.
No. That's like... There's a lot of songs with rain in it, though.
Yeah.
Can You Stop the Rain?
Missy Elliott.
Yeah, that's way before.
I know.
So that was 15 weeks on the chart, and that peaked at number 52. Number 96 is a group that I've never even heard of. They're called Pretty in Pink, and they're like a hip-hop group. They call it this multinational group because it's 3 women are black, 1 is Asian, and 1 is white.
Okay.
And they do... This song is very like New Jack Swing music, I guess, song, whatever. And the song is called All About You. And they obviously got this name from the movie Pretty in Pink. And one of the women, or one of the ladies in this group is the daughter of Shaka Khan. Her name is Melanie Khan.
Okay. And
they only had this song, All About You is their first single for their only album of 1991. And then they released another single called Dreams, and that didn't do too well. So the group disbanded soon after, and most of the members left the industry. But some of them like moved on to do their own writing, like music writing and stuff. And one of the women ended up marrying Joss Whedon's brother.
Oh, okay.
And she co-wrote that internet... You know Dr. Horrible sing-along? She co-wrote that song. Mm. So they all kind of went their separate ways after like doing 2 songs.
I was going to ask if they did like a Psychedelic Furs remix of Pretty in Pink.
Oh, no, they didn't, no. And they couldn't just follow in the coattails of Shaka Khan, even though, her daughter was in that group.
It's tough. It can be tough.
And, I've never even heard about them until right before we were recording. And the song I like. And the video's cute.
Alright, so we'll move on to rankings and ratings. Where on your 1 to 5 star scale are you going to put Marilyn and Me?
I'm going to give this a 2.
Yeah, on my 0 to 4 star scale, I think I'm going to give it like a 1.5. I mean, taking it at service value without knowing the actual history or, doing, the research that you had done, just looking at it as a movie. It's fine, but it's not anything super special. It's not the best movie we've watched from TV.
I watched this movie before looking things up.
Yeah.
So I liked the movie, but then after reading more about Robert Slatzer, I was like, I don't like this guy at all.
Yeah, I didn't like him in this movie. And I didn't like the way Marilyn Monroe was portrayed in this either.
Yeah. But the acting was fine.
The acting was fine, just the characterization wasn't. And, too many of the scenes were just spat out really quickly and just seemed like it jumped from piece to piece without any real,
I thought it flowed better than the Lucy and Desi movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I got like with the Lucy and Desi story, I was like, what time era are they in now?
Lucy and Desi might have done better with a narration type of a setup,
or like showing a date, because sometimes they did that in this movie.
Right? Yeah, if they would
like 1949. I don't know. This happened. Yeah. Like that's what kept me like not confused, I guess. I don't know. I was not confused watching this movie.
No, it was all chronological, which is good.
Except for like the beginning and end where, it starts with her death and then ends with it. Yeah, it bookends with her death.
But the narration I thought was very lifeless and dull.
Yeah.
So that didn't help things. Every movie's worth watching once. Would you watch this again? No. I mean, there's dozens upon dozens of Marilyn Monroe things. You know, we got that Netflix
I'll just watch
movie coming up with Anna de Armas or whatever.
I might watch that, but I'd rather watch just like documentaries about her life.
Yeah.
Or the movies that she's actually in.
Or the Michelle Williams
I don't
biopic.
even know if I'll watch that.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, if I were given the choice between this and one of the other dozens of movies about Marilyn Monroe, I'm going to pick one of the other dozens of movies about Marilyn Monroe.
Well, because this one's just like what I said, fanfic. This is like some dude's fanfic about his infatuation with Marilyn Monroe.
It's an interesting, like, side story that you can kind of, like...
like, I get it, like, you know, some people can probably believe this and be like, oh, yeah, maybe he really was married to her because he really believed it.
Right. So, if you out there want to watch Marilyn and Me...
Marilyn and Me.
If you out there want to watch Marilyn and Me, as of this recording in July 2022, it's available on Tubi, Pluto TV, Freevee, Roku channel, digital rental, not VHS or DVD. Check your local listings. As for us, you can listen to us on all of your major podcasting platforms. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, and tell your friends. You can email us at 1991movierewind@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and YouTube. Just search 1991 Movie Rewind or go to 1991movierewind.com for the full list of movies, along with show notes and more. Next week, we're going to be starting a family fantasy month with White Fang that's available on Disney Plus, digital rental, VHS, and DVD. We will see you then.
Thanks.